Howdy guys, what's up? It is Vic and you are watching my YouTube channel. I am back today here with you, and I'd like to go over something that I hold near and dear to my heart. Well, that's not really true. I hold movies really near and dear to my heart. It's how I pass my time usually when I'm not at work. I'm usually watching something. It's just kind of what I like to do. I've always been a big fan of the fantastical, of things that, kind of transport you to a different world. Probably why I've gotten into writing. I used to read a lot as a kid. I don't read as much as I'd like to now, but who knows, maybe as times change I'll get back into it. But for now, I just absorb all that my eyeballs will let me absorb. And I'd like to give to you I don't want to call them top 10, but I'll give you 10 of what I believe are some of the most underrated movies that have been produced in the past several years. I kind of stuck along the vein of action. I'll probably do a few more of these with some different themes. I watched a lot of romance movies. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I didn't used to be one of those people, though. At sometime around the age of 10 or 11, I watched Autumn in New York and just kind of never looked back. And I'll probably do a few other movies here and there, and I've got a couple of my actual top 10 movies that I want to do as well in some other videos. So look forward to those. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Number 1, the movie Push. It is kind of a superhero type movie. Well, maybe not hero. Hero's kind of not the right word. A superpowers movie. I've always been a fan of superpower movies that aren't mainstream, i.e. Marvel or DC. Not that I have anything against Marvel or DC. In fact, I absolutely love it. Hello, obviously, Superman. I know more things than anyone should ever know about Marvel. It's a little disturbing, but that aside, I've always just found it really intriguing seeing other people's takes on superpowers and how they evolve it into whatever world that they're trying to create. And this one did it really well. It was just kind of one of those one-off movies. I don't know if I saw it on Netflix or if it was just something that I happened to rent or it was on TV. I want to say what drew me to it, don't laugh, what drew me to it was Chris Evans. He was in it, and at the time, he had just recently, was that when Captain America came around? Maybe not. Could have just been Fantastic Four, the original, not the remake or the other remake. Were there 2 remakes? I don't know. Anyways, the one that he was in, which is the one that I grew up with, and it's the one that I feel like is the only one, but it's whatevs. I still need to watch the other one, though. I really can't, give it too much shade since I haven't even actually seen it yet, and it does have a lot of good actors in it. So maybe I will withhold my judgment until then. Do a review and react video, if I may. But anyways, so Chris Evans was in it. Dakota Fanning is also in it. She was not a baby, but not older yet. Somewhere in that not quite 14, but maybe older than 8 or 10 range. Oh, the Fanning sisters, gotta love them. So there are only certain types of powers, and different individuals will then have those powers. They're really interesting. And the way that they're displayed, and like how they kind of use it in this like hierarchy, like the cops are these types of people with these powers, the low life grudgy guys are the types of people generally with these types of powers. You've got your gang members and like their lackeys and stuff are generally folks with these types of powers, and it's just really cool how it all goes together and whatnot. It's a really good story, definitely a really good movie to look into. I highly recommend it. If you've not seen it, definitely go check it out. If it's available on anything, I'll maybe try and put down in the description what you can watch it on. But quite honestly, you could probably go to Walmart and like buy it out of the $5 bin. It's probably where I got mine from. for being honest. And it's worth it. It's $5 well spent. You will not regret it. Next. So, I know I'm going to get some shade for this. I know I am. And you know what? Honestly, I don't even care. Green Hornet was an awesome movie, and you can fight me on it. I am okay with that. Yes, I know, Seth Rogen, oh my gosh. But honestly, I kind of like Seth Rogen. He's Seth Rogen, but, you know, he's a cool guy. He's funny, you know, he's got that kind of dopey humor, but I like dopey humor. That's my thing, you know. I really like the other movies that he's been in and whatnot, and of course I was going to watch this one because, you know, well, he's in it, and also it's the Green Hornet. It's a superhero, you know, movie. You can't really go wrong with that. And like, not only is it like superhero, but it's like satire superhero, which is kind of my thing. When superheroes can make fun of themselves or like can turn stuff into comedy, it's like the best. It's probably why I'm a huge fan of a Star-Lord. It's good stuff. It's good, clean fun. Maybe I shouldn't say clean. I don't even know what it's rated. I'll find that out. Also, his partner, or better half, what have you, is Jay Chow. Amazing, this guy. So I don't know what else he's been in, but I know he has been in other things, and whatever he's been in has been phenomenal. Maybe I'll try and look some of that up as well. But he's like if Jackie Chan and Jet Li got together and had a baby, and then that baby was then trained by Bruce Lee. That's this guy. Like, he's funny, but, you know, he can also be serious, because, you know, you kind of have to be, because that's sort of, you know, Seth Rogen's character is the comedy, and then he's like the, okay, bro, that's cool, but, like, let's go fight some bad guys. And also, he's just, like, his actual, like, martial arts and moves and stuff is like, whoa, like, great stuff. The movie itself is really good. It's got a good storyline, you know, as far as you know, the unlikely hero that finds himself and then goes and saves the day and all that stuff. You know, it's a nice. You know, it's probably predictable, but honestly, like, I'm okay with that, because I'm not watching it to be surprised and wowed. I'm watching it to, you know, watch something that's enjoyable, that's got action, that's got comedy, a little bit of awkward romance because it is Seth Rogen. And, you know, it's just good. You know, there's like this whole scene where they're driving their like souped up car through this office building, and like, you know, with each like obstacle that they encounter, parts of the car just keep getting ripped off or like chopped off and whatnot. And by the time that they get to the elevator and they've slid into it, and then it drops down the floor and then opens up, and all you see is like them sitting in the cab of their car, you know, holding on to a steering wheel that's like not like I'm attached to anything, and they're like, okay. And then they get up and they go, and it's hilarious, just hilarious. I love stuff like that. It's great. And apparently that was like I'm actually taken out of like one of the comic book scenes, and it's just it's great. Check it out. Regardless of your opinions of Seth Rogen and what you've heard about the movie, watch it first, make your own opinion then, and I don't know, comment and let me know after you've watched it what you think about it. Next is Parker. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a huge Jason Statham fan. I have actively gone out of my way to watch every movie that I can find that he's been in, including the ones that I knew weren't going to be good, but I watched it anyways. Just a month or so ago, I watched the movie Meg, and it's about as cheesy as you would think. The theory behind it's kind of cool, I guess. I really liked that, and, you know, giant sharks that are terrorizing people is, you know, cool to watch if that's your thing. Which you think it wouldn't be my thing, because sharks are the reason why I'm, like, afraid of the deep end of the pool. Not that I won't swim in it, but if I'm on the shallow end and I pop my head underwater and I look down towards the deep end and it's all dark and murky and you can't see anything, and even though logically my brain says you're in a pool, it's full of chlorine, there's no shark down there, my everything else says, oh god, there's a shark, don't go down there. Probably a result of me watching the movie Jaws when I was like 3 years old. I made a lot of not good decisions. My parents let me watch a lot of things I probably shouldn't have. That sounded kind of bad. Anyways, but yeah, so Parker is one of them. He is essentially kind of like a hitman type dude. I believe he's part of a group that was pulling off like a heist or some type of something. Heist goes wrong, they screw him over. They think he's dead, he's not. They find out about him, and then he's like running from them or trying to get them back, or just the basic plot line of almost every Jason Statham movie that involves him and guns. J-Lo is also in it, and she is great. Say what you want about J-Lo, but I think she's a good actress, honestly. Good singer as well. I kind of preferred her older stuff to her newer stuff, but it's J-Lo. You can't go wrong because, she's still Jenny from the block. But yeah, very good, underrated movie. There's a lot of really good comedy points, great action because, of course, Jason Statham. And just the way that it's played out, even though it's super, predictable and kind of cheesy in some points and whatnot, it's just fun entertainment to watch. Definitely worth looking into. Compared to some of his other movies, it's in my opinion one of the better ones. That's why I went out of my way to buy it. Although, if I'm being honest, I'll probably buy others of his movies, all of his movies eventually. I need to buy more movies. I don't need to buy more movies. Alright, but worth looking into. Again, probably another one you can find in the $5 bin. $5 well spent. It'll give you a nice fun evening with your pals, with your significant other, with yourself, with your cat, with your dog, with your ferret. If you have a ferret. Do people still have ferrets? Someone's gotta have a ferret. Anyways, check it out. Next, the movie Wanted. It's got James McAvoy, Angelina Jolie, and Morgan Freeman. Yes, that's right, Morgan Freeman. And they are all three phenomenal. It's a really cool concept of a movie. A guy essentially finds out that I want to say maybe by Lineage. It's been a few years since I've watched it, but I believe it was by Lineage that he is actually a part of a assassin's group or something like that, and so he goes and he joins them and is essentially taught the ways of this group, and learning their creed and all that, and then as usual there's some kind of mishap, and then he's got to take out the whole group or some kind of something, and Angelina Jolie's in it, so of course he's going to get with them. He being James McAvoy's character. Probably should have led with that. But great movie, really cool action. My favorite part about this movie was how they put their specific twist on it with curving of a bullet. It's really cool, really neat concept. It's essentially where if you whip your gun in a certain way when you fire, instead of the bullet going straight, it bends and curves towards the target. Really cool concept. I loved it. It was really neat watching them, put that into action. It's just well worth it to watch. And honestly, Morgan Freeman really should do more action movies. He's you wouldn't think so with a guy his age, but he's really good at stuff like that. Whether it's that older mystic type guy, or that the guy that you're skeptical of, and is this really a good guy or is he a bad guy? I don't know. Or he's a good actor. Obviously, but good actor. A good movie, definitely worth it to watch. Again, another Walmart find. I want to say it's on a lot of different, Netflix and Hulu. It's on and off there regularly, so you can keep an eye out for that. It's probably on Amazon Prime as well. Jeez, look at me saying these things like they're sponsoring me or something. No, I'm too small for that. Anyways, next up, The Losers. This is another Chris Evans movie. Again, how I kind of got sucked into that one. Not only is he in it, though, also Zoe Saldana. Oh, yes. Just gonna. So those two are in it. I'm watching the movie. Period. Also, really cool ragtag team type movie. Other people that are in it, you've got Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Idris Elba's in it. There's a lot of really big, names in general. A lot of high caliber actors and actresses and whatnot. The basis of this story, they're like a kind of like a military group, I guess. It's like that team of individuals that whatever head organization that's in the movie sends in to do the thing that no one else can do type group or whatever. And there's that one mission that goes awry or whatever, and then to get things fixed, they have to bring the team back together to go and fix this situation that only these guys can fix type thing. Which that's like, it's the plot to a lot of movies, but it's a good plot. It's a good trope to go with, so why not, right? And they execute it really well. A lot of good humor. I want to say Chris Evans wears glasses in that movie, and it kind of threw me for a little bit. He plays like the nerdy guy. He's like the nerdy hot tech guy. How often does that happen, right? But yeah, so it's definitely worth watching. A lot of good people in it. For the type of movie that it is, it's definitely a really good watch. It's a good action film, just in general, worth watching for sure. You should definitely check it out. That's another one you can definitely find in the Walmart $5 bin. So again, money well spent. Go ahead and do it. It's worth it for sure. Next up, this is kind of an older one. It's The Island. This one I know for sure is one that I got from Netflix back when it was just DVDs, not streaming at all. Shows you how old I am. Not as well known of a movie, and I'm kind of surprised because it was one of the original Scarlett Johansson movies back in the day when she was just starting to really hit it big. Ewan McGregor's in it. It's also got like Sean Bean in it. It's got Steve Buscemi in it. Michael Clark Duncan's in it. Michael Clark Duncan, yeah. The big guy, the real big guy, he's in it. But yeah, it's just a lot of really good people in it. It's got a really cool storyline. So basically, the plot is that we've hit a point in our society where people can essentially pay to have whatever organ is malfunctioning, and they pay this company that kind of fronts as like oh yeah, we grow these biological donor organs essentially for you, completely ethical, all this stuff, and then once it's ready, we give you a call and we save your life. You need a heart, we got you. You need lungs, we got you. Are you struggling to have a baby with your partner? Don't worry, we got you. We'll take your DNA cells and we'll make you a baby. Yeah, it's all ethical. Turns out they're actually just cloning the people, and then whatever organ that is needed when it's their time. So the clones are kind of raised up in this environment where they're given different tasks and whatnot, and when they hit a certain point of whatever maturation that they need, their names are put into a lottery, is what they're told whenever they first arrive, because they're told that like they were rescued from like the outside world that's like dying of decay or something like that, when really they were just popped off of their clone tube, whatever it was, they're born, whatever it is. And then whoever wins the lottery, which is obviously designed to pick out whoever they need to harvest whatever organ, and then they're sent off on this boat to the island, hence the name of the movie. And then rather than actually sending them off to an island, they take them into a surgery room, cut them open, pull out whatever organ they need, kill the clone because it's a clone, it's not a real person, and then they call up whoever they've been growing this organ for and say, hey, your heart's ready, hey, your lungs are ready, hey, your baby just got born, come and get it. And the two main characters, played by Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, they end up escaping from this place and get out into the real world. And then there's the whole, rest of the movie where they're being chased down because, oh no, the clones got out. People can't know what we're doing. And Ewan McGregor's character actually runs into his self in the real world, and it's really cool. But it's a great movie, and I'm really surprised that it didn't get as much traction as I thought it would. Like it had like a small moment in the sun for like a little bit, but I feel like I want to say I'm pretty sure it's a Michael Bay movie. And Michael Bay movies, especially at the time, were kind of giving them a lot of flack because of all of their explosions and all that stuff. So that's probably what happened there, if I had to guess. Yeah, but it's good. It's a good movie. It's a great watch. It's a really cool concept. It's done really well. A lot of great action sequences. Just good acting in general, and it's just a really cool concept. Really neat thing to watch if you're into those kind of pseudo sci-fi type movies that are like set in like the real world, but like potential future stuff. It's really cool. Definitely worth watching. I highly recommend it. Next up, we have Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters. I actually saw this movie in theaters. I'm not gonna lie, I watched it because of who was in it. And the idea of it sounded pretty cool, but I'm not a huge scary movie slash horror type person. So if a movie seems like it has that stuff in it, I will sort of shy away from it unless there's something else that can kind of draw me in. A good example with that was Van Helsing. Obviously, vampires, scary werewolves, stuff like that. Probably not going to be something I'd watch. I think I ended up waiting to watch it on TV when it aired on something. Just because I was, if it was going to scare me, I could quickly turn away from the channel as opposed to sitting in a giant dark movie theater waiting for Dracula to drop down and eat me. I don't care if that's illogical. But this is one of those where I was like, this seems like it could get really gory in like that kind of creepy, scary kind of way really quickly. I don't know if I want to see it. And then Jeremy Renner showed his beautiful face in it, and I was like, oh, Jeremy Renner, oh, why you gotta do this to me? Ooh, I was like, well, maybe I can wait for it to come out on video, I don't know. And then she showed up. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but Famke Janssen, I believe is how you say her name. She's the person that played Jean Grey in the first set of X-Men movies. And I love her. She needs to be in more stuff. She's a great actress. She's beautiful. And she apparently plays bad guys really well, because that's who she is in this movie, and it was great. It's worth watching. It's still definitely worth it. I really liked the concept behind it of instead of Hansel and Gretel being these kids that got kidnapped by witches and then escaped or whatever and all that stuff. That still happened. That's like their background story. But then they grew up to then hunt down more witches in this like super like awesome Banff way and all this stuff, and it's really cool. It's worth watching, definitely, for sure. There's a lot of really neat creatures in it. It's not quite as creepy gross as I thought it was going to be anyways. It's just a really cool story. I really like the characters, good acting. A little bit predictable, but again, nowadays that's almost every movie. There's not a story that like hasn't been told at least once, so you're gonna run into that. But it's definitely worth getting if you stumble across it. If you don't stumble across it, but you happen to see it on some type of a streaming service, definitely watch it. It's a good watch for sure. This one I judge myself for. I'm not even gonna lie. So I watched this with my dad, I believe. And it was one of those where I wasn't even really I wasn't going to watch it with him, but I had nothing else to do, and he put it in, and so I sat down with him and watched it, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this. This is gonna be ridiculous. So my next one is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Yes, you heard right. 1, yes, that is a real movie. 2, yes, I did watch it. And 3, yes, I think it was actually pretty good. I was genuinely shocked by how good this movie was. I did not expect to like it at all, and I ended up actually really loving it. You'll have to forgive me. I didn't get a list of the lead actors in it. But honestly, even if you don't know anyone who's in it, it's still worth it to watch. It's so like unthinkably ridiculous in like its basic plot that you just have to watch it. You know, it's essentially, you know, obviously Abe Lincoln going through his presidency and all that stuff and whatnot, but like on the side he's like taking down like this dynasty of of vampires. Like, what? I want to say there's like a point when he was like younger where he kills like a really like important vampire, and then because of that, then they're just like constantly like after him because, oh, you killed this person, now we have to take you down, all that stuff. And like, it's just it's so ridiculous that it's great. So there's like a scene where he's like battling with like a shotgun and like his hatchet or whatever, the one of the main vampires, and they're legit jumping like from horse to horse in this like horse stampede in the middle of a field, battling on top of the horses. Legit. I was just like, what in the world? What? And it was, oh man, you have to watch it. You have to, seeing is believing with this movie. You just have to watch it. It's one of those like out there, like unexpectedly good movies that's just watch it. All right, next. So this one's actually a really near and dear to my heart one. It's King Arthur. And I know there's been a lot of King Arthur ones. So this one in particular, the basis behind this one is, so essentially, I guess the producers or writers or whatever went back and looked up the origins of King Arthur and where his story could have potentially come from. And they went back into the lore of like Scotland and England and Ireland and all of that. And found the earliest mentionings of Arthur, or Arturius, as they called him back then. And then just researched that story, and then found out more lore behind like Merlin and all of that, and Lancelot. And the story isn't so much that, you know, they're like knights in like this mystical land, and like Merlin is this magician. He's actually like a woodland shaman type guy that's like out in the forest, like covered in blue paint and leather and chanting stuff and doing all this stuff and whatnot. He was actually, you know, considered almost like a heretic. And it deals a lot with like old school a Roman Catholic oppression in Scotland and I want to say Ireland and London as well. London before it was London, whatever it was called then. England, what have you. This is like 1700s or something, so it's way back. But it essentially follows that story, and Arthur is actually a knight who is under the service of the Catholic Church, and so he is then assigned a group of men when he's just a young boy, and then growing up with these other young boys, he trains them into his knights who serve under him, and they go and they do whatever they have to for the church, essentially. And then after they serve X amount of years, then they are granted their freedom to go and go back to their families and live the rest of their lives. It's like this thing or whatever that was set up. And this kind of follows that story. It's at the end, one of their last battles and assignments that they have to do, right before they're granted their freedom and all of that. And they get back and find out that they have to do one more thing. And they're all like, oh, it's bull crap and all that stuff. And then they go and, be Bamfs and run into Keira Knightley, who's also in it. Clive Owen plays Arthur. He's phantasmic. I love it. There's a lot of other really good actors in it. Some that I didn't really know as well back when the movie first came out, but that are really big in other movies now. Mads Mikkelsen, that guy. He is Galahad. I can never remember this guy's name. He's got pretty hair. If I remember it, I'll put the name there for you. But he's the guy who plays Lancelot. Just really cool, like, well thought out version of King Arthur. It's probably the best version I've seen as far as live action ones go. That's not just the same retelling of the mystical, you know, Lady of the Lake gives Arthur the sword. He goes off, he does the things, falls in loves, you know, and all the mystical stuff and whatnot. Which that's all good. I love fantasy. I love stuff like that. But it's really cool to see it and put it into something real. So, worth looking into for sure. Last video, number 10, is The Spirit. So, for anyone that has seen Frank Miller's Sin City, it is, so it's along the same line as that as far as animation goes and whatnot, and the same kind of look, I guess, you know, as far as the, you know, kind of black and white, but with like the splashes of colors here and there, and the nice play with the shadows and all that kind of cinematography. That sounds better. Cinematography, yeah. And I love those movies, you know, Sin City and all that, and it's what drew me to The Spirit. I also really liked just the main character, The Spirit. He's like what every superhero wishes he could be but can't be, because, well, he wouldn't be called a superhero anymore. So, first of all, Sam Jackson plays the villain. Watch it just for that. Scarlett Johansson's also in it. Eva Mendes is in it. I can't remember the name of the guy who actually plays the Spirit. Oh, geez, I'm going to kick myself for not remembering it. He wasn't as well known back then, but I feel like now he's a little bit better known. He just hasn't really done a lot of stuff, and like what he has done, again, hasn't been like really big films. But it's just this movie, like the humor in it, and then, you know, just like that kind of, you know, over the top, you know, superhero, you know, gumshoe, you know, antics and stuff, and action, you know, where, you know, they take a giant, like, wrench and just bam over their head, and like it's like dented around their head, you know, like it's almost like a cartoon, but it's live action. I love that stuff. Just absolutely love it. It's great. Yeah, the overall storyline is actually really cool as well. It's not as played out, you know. It's not, you know, one of those like where it's like, oh, this is like super predictable, but you know, there is some, you know, predictability again, because that's just movies nowadays. There's just nothing that hasn't not been done yet. But it's just it's just really well done. There's these henchmen in it that are like ridiculous. Just the way that they incorporate the humor into it is great, and the actual action's good, and it's just a fun story to watch and whatnot. It's, if I was going to recommend any not as well known hero type superpower movie, it would definitely be this one by far, probably over all of the other ones. I would, it's, oh man, you just have to see it. It is great. It's a phenomenal movie. Definitely one to add to your collection if you haven't already, and one to watch if you also haven't already. You could probably buy it just about anywhere. I don't know if it streams on anything anymore. It did for a brief period of time, I think on Netflix, but I don't remember if it's still on there or not. But regardless, like, look it up on Amazon. You can probably buy it for like no more than $7 or $8. Buy it. You'll love it for sure. Alright, so that is my top 10 list of underrated movies in the theme of action. And if you guys enjoy this, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and leave a comment below with any other videos within the action universe that you think also belong on that list. If you've seen any of these movies and you absolutely love it, let me know what you loved about it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Go ahead and subscribe so that way you are always updated on when I post a new video. They will be coming out every Monday and Friday, so keep an eye open, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, and you guys stay classy.